Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Z Premium Bandai KRILLIN Son Goku's old friend, accompanied by a large yellow wiener. This is one of the weirdest things Bandai has done. It's actually okay, let me not make any more jokes about the blast effect until we get back to that part. I'm going to do my best. This is probably the best KRILLIN they've released. KRILLIN's had a lot of good releases. He's had two bad ones, but mostly good ones. And this one, I have to say, is probably the best. I don't know for sure, but maybe. And it comes with the blast effect, which we'll talk about later. But let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. Alright, before we look at the figure, let me show you my package, and then we'll show you KRILLIN's package later. It's good. It's fine. Same as always, same commentary, figures behind the cardboard when the accessories are not. It's weird. Some artwork or some photos there, photo there. The things they choose to show are strange sometimes. Like on the front of the box, it's weird that you just see part of his torso. It is a little bit weird the way they do their packaging for Dragon Ball. But whatever, it's the typical, usual packaging. They don't even want to show it. They're like, we can't show the whole thing. We can't put that on store shelves. It looks like a giant wiener. What are you Hey, that's not included. That's not fair either. Whatever. Okay, so let's talk about this guy. Is it the best KRILLIN? It's tiny, but I think it's pretty good. And if I had a nickel every time I heard that, I wouldn't have any money. All right, he stands about 10.5 centimeters. That's going to make him roughly, let's say 4 1/8, give or take, maybe 3/16. There he is up against Darwin. He's a tiny fellow. And I know people have a big issue with the Dragon Ball figures and the scaling and the head sizes and all that. It doesn't bother me as much. They tend to skew towards the center a little bit. This guy's very small, so maybe not for this one. But I think most of the time the figures on their own look really good. And I don't think you're ever going to get them to all look good against each other with all the different sizes and weird scalings and large heads and small heads and whatnot. Don't put it next to another KRILLIN and it'll probably look okay. Maybe don't put it next to other figures at all. I don't know. It's just a weird thing. I don't know that there's any way to solve that properly because the art styles have changed in Dragon Ball so much. But this figure on its own looks great. I think it looks really, really, really good. So let me ask a question of the day. What do you guys think about the head size and scale situation they have going on? And then also, which version of KRILLIN do you think is the best? I like this one a lot. I like the older school look. Okay, let's get into the aesthetic on this guy. Matte finish for the skin, love it. Matte finish for the clothing, love it. Saturations maybe could be a little bit better. I know it wasn't super bright back then, but it does have sort of a brownish look to it, which I don't love. But it does look nice. The paintwork on there is clean. There's no shading anywhere, unfortunately, so that kind of sucks. The paintwork for the wristbands is okay. I don't like how far away his hands are from the wristbands due to the joint. That doesn't look great. I think they should have tinkered with that a little bit more, but I think the overall silhouette and proportioning looks really nice. Other than the way they do their hips, sometimes it gets kind of chunky and segmented, but otherwise he looks pretty darn nice. And I like the head shape overall. I think that looks pretty much like it's supposed to. So overall, I'm happy with this guy. But Bandai used to put paint on figures, and mostly they looked good. Sometimes we got like a Super Saiyan 3 Goku that looked like mustard and garbage, but typically the paint helps, and this guy just has what is absolutely necessary, so it could look nicer, but it does look good. So I'll go 8 out of 10 for the aesthetic. It looks pretty good, and the matte finish for the skin tones is nice. A bunch of alternate heads, they all look pretty darn good. I don't really have any complaints there. They look nice, no problems. A bunch of hands, all the hands you're going to need, including hands with peg holes for his blast effect, which I have to say, like, there's no way Bandai's not trolling on purpose. Or somebody pulled one over their manager, their supervisor, their team lead, whatever you want to call it. We almost never get blast effects, and then they decide to. Well, actually, KRILLIN almost always does. This KRILLIN came with a giant penis. What the heck? We almost never get blast effects, and then they give us this, which actually looks like a flaming wiener. How do you do that? I mean, okay, it had to be, there's the base, by the way, that's what it looks like. Okay, so it had to be that the guy sculpting this chuckled to himself and said, I'm going to make this look like a wiener. That has to be what it is, because I know what they're going for. It doesn't have to look so much like a wiener. I'm lost for words. I'm at a loss for words. I don't know, whichever way is the best way to say that. It has a nice paint job on it. The pearly effect on the front, pearly silvery white. The transparent shaft. What the heck, man? You could have shaped it slightly differently and it wouldn't have looked anywhere near as much as it looked anywhere near as much like a wiener as it does. That's just nuts. But you do get it. It's a fairly large blast effect relative to the figure. Gosh, I can't get over it. I honestly can't. I thought I reviewed this figure already because I talked about this in like a live stream and in another video. I just can't get over the fact that they did this. What the heck? Oh man, so accessory wise, either like 1,000,000 out of 10 because you got a giant glowing yellow wiener and you wanted that in your collection, or just the usual like 8 or 9 out of 10 because it's a good spread of accessories with an effect part. You can decide, and I won't judge you either way. Alright, so let's see. Is the articulation good on this guy? Well, I have to tell you, they did some things that are really, really nice. There's a lot of soft plastic in here. Unfortunately, you can see through him a lot, and I don't know like if I'm going to get the angle right for you to actually be able to do it. But there's a lot of gapping going on here where you can just see right into the mechanical parts, which it's fine. Like once you pose him, it probably won't be too bad, or it'll get worse depending on how you pose him. But generally, it poses nicely, and they have some new stuff. So let's talk about it. Let's pop the head off. Double ball peg, way to go. That's the way to do it. Next on a ball peg, double ball peg up here. Love that. So you just move the head around however you freaking want, and it just does what you want it to do without any real fight. I love that. At this point, I don't see how anybody could be arguing against double ball pegs for necks, unless it's like a mecha or something like that. But even then, it's usually still the right call. Almost always it's the right call. That's great. His clavicle area is a little bit weird, the way they sculpted that, but I don't think any normal person is going to notice that. It's a little bit weird, but that poses nicely. Now for his shoulders, they did a thing that drives me a little bit nuts. It doesn't hurt the figure, it's just unnecessary. They did the thing where you have that cup in there. You see the cup holding that ball peg? Let me get the sword out again. Coincidentally, I still have these 3D printed parts over here and I get to use them as pointers. This cup that holds this ball socket in here, it's on a hinge. You see the hinge? So that lets this move up and down. And it doesn't really serve a purpose. And it's also kind of floppy, so I don't like that. The only thing it does is, in conjunction with the ball peg that's holding everything, it allows the arm to get pulled in and out some. So that gives you a little bit of extra range. But once you pull it out, you are really seeing inside. And you can rotate the arm around and get like a butterfly, but it gets mechanical looking for sure. Just don't look inside because it does work nicely. This is a somewhat squishy area. It's not as squishy as I would like at the top, but like down here it's very squishy. And you can actually get his arm across his chest pretty well. It's not a bad design. It's maybe a little bit overdone, like over-engineered, but it works and it's not a huge detriment other than the flop. So that's not bad. I'm okay with that. If they over-engineer it and it happens to end up working, even though every other time they've done this it was a waste of engineering, I'll take it. I don't like the way this happens. When you raise the arm, the sleeve tucks in completely and then sticks out at the bottom. So that's a little bit weird. But it's still pretty darn good. It's pretty useful. Rotating the arm all the way around works. Your bicep swivel works. Double jointed elbow works nicely. We're getting single joints on figures from One Piece that look like crap. This guy, like, it could look a little better, I guess. But his little stumpy, short, tiny arms get a nice double joint. No problem. Wrist hinge works nicely. It gives you really good range. I wish they just worked on the aesthetic a little bit more on that, but it's alright. Then the torso, ball peg, which lets it work, and this is squishy, so it tucks in a little bit better. This is something I wish Bandai would stop doing, and they should know better. They've been making figures for forever. Sculpt it all the way through. Sculpt the wrinkle all the way down. You can still make it tuck in. Why is it just a flat, smooth area underneath the wrinkle? That's not how you want to do that, because then as soon as you pose the figure, it looks goofy. It should just be sculpted, bring it down like a teardrop shape, and sculpt the wrinkles all the way down. Articulation's kind of your thing, Bandai, but he doesn't have the best torso. It's just okay. It will be okay, and it does get gappy, and they connected the belt to the pants, which is also not a good idea. They've been doing weird stuff like that lately, so that sucks. It'll be fine. But for Bandai standards, for SH Figuarts standards, for Dragon Ball, his torso kind of blows. This does move, so that's nice. I like that. Alright, for the hips, luckily the crotch is soft, so the hips should work. Let's see. Yeah, they have to stretch the plastic a lot, so hopefully that doesn't end up with degradation. But you do get full-on splits. A little bit of a dangler right there. Not the best design. They do that because of the baggy pants, but I would rather they just have the crotch higher up when the legs are closed. Nobody would really notice that. But when you put him in like a kick pose, it does make him look like Well, there's two things going on here, but he's got a dangler there. So, you know, it's not the worst thing in the world, though. It's okay. His butt hangs down, too. It's weird. But the butt is soft, so you can bring the legs back some. Whereas on, like, I think it was like Super Saiyan 4 Goku, it was hard plastic. It's soft, so it doesn't get in the way as much. So that's nice. And then kicking up, you have to really flex this soft plastic, which it does flex, so that's fine. But I'm a little bit concerned about that. It also brings the leg out to the side more than I would like, the way this guy is designed. But it's not bad. You can definitely work with that for sure. All right, and then you do get your thigh swivel, which is, the way they've been doing it is questionable for sure. The Chaps style hips, don't love that. A little bit of extra play in it. I don't know if it's intentional. It's not a lot. But you do get your thigh swivel. Single jointed knee, which gives him 90 degrees. That's not enough, Bandai. Do more and make it look better. Just like they did with the torso. I get that you have a joint in here, but you already had to sculpt it, so just add a wrinkle. Add a wrinkle in there instead of just a big seam. But it's fine. You know, it's a single jointed knee that goes 90. It could have gone a lot farther and they didn't do it, so that kind of sucks. The ankle has a ball peg at the top and then a ball hinge at the bottom, so you can point the toe forward nicely. So that's good. Pointing the toe up. It's okay. It's not the best. It's better than a lot of their figures have had, so that's nice. And then, of course, you can use that for an ankle rocker. That is just splendid. That's wonderful. And then lastly, we have our toe hinge, which is one of the better ones they've done. That's a good one. I mean, good enough. It could be better, but it's good enough. It looks good. It's functional enough. So yeah, his articulation, it's not super impressive for being somewhat over-engineered at the top and under-engineered at the bottom, but I think you're going to be able to get him in the poses you want, and I think you're going to be able to do it pretty easily. And because his sculpt and his proportioning and his silhouette is so nice, I think it's going to end up looking good, despite some of its shortcomings. So I think they've come up with a nice balance here overall. I'll give the articulation for Bandai probably only a 7. There's not a lot that's great about it. The torso could be a lot better. The knee could be better. The shoulder works pretty well. Yeah, there's some good stuff and some not so good stuff, but I think it's fine. I think if you needed a KRILLIN, you could do a whole lot worse. The problem is, I really wanted to make a joke about his Destructo Disc move and changing the name to Destructo something else, but I didn't do it. And I couldn't figure out a way to do it without actually saying it, because I don't want to say it. We keep this PG-13 at most. So I couldn't say it. But the fact that it comes with this rather than a better effect part does kind of suck. So if you wanted a KRILLIN, this is a good one, but he doesn't have the effect you probably wanted. I mean, maybe you did, but I'm going to give it an overall rating of... I'm going to say 8 out of 10. I think it is still an effect part, and maybe you can do some photography where it doesn't look so phallic. I don't know. But good heads, good hands, good enough body. Like, I think it's fine. It's maybe the best KRILLIN, because the previous best one was probably the first one. But it's old now, so this one probably wins. I don't know, let me know what you guys think. Which figure of KRILLIN is the best at this point? And what do you think about the wiener accessory? Alright, yeah, I'm done. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos just about every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.